going to talk about services in Android. So, what is a service? A service is an application component that can perform long-running operations in the background. It does not provide any user interface once started. A service may continue to run for for some time even after the user switches to another application. There are three types of service: foreground service, background service, and bound service. But foreground and background service is categorized into one called started service. First is a started service is when an application such as an activity starts it by calling start service method. Once started, a service can run in the background indefinitely, even if the component it started is destroyed. Usually, a started service performs a single operation and does not return a result to the caller. For example, it might download or upload a file over the network. When the operation is done, the service should stop itself. Next is foreground service. A foreground service is a service that will let the user know about what is happening in the background. For example, the music application like Spotify. The user can see the ongoing song on this device as a form of notification. So here, displaying information is a must. Next is background service. Here, the user will never know what is happening in the background of the application. For example, while sending some images over WhatsApp, WhatsApp then compresses the image file to reduce the size. This task is done in the background and the user has no idea what is going on in the background. But for the API level 21 or higher, the Android system imposes some restrictions while using the background service. And lastly, bound service. A service is bound when an application component binds to it by calling the bind service method. A bound service offers a client-server interface that allows components to interact with the service. It sends requests, gets results, and even do so across processes with inter-processes communication or IPC. A bound service only runs as long as another application component is bound to it. Multiple components can bind to the service at once, but when all of them unbind, the service is destroyed. Next is the service lifecycle. There are two parts of the service lifecycle since there are basically two types of service, which is a started service and a bounded service. So as we can see, there are two sides here. The left side is the started service where foreground and background service resides, and the right side is the bounded service. So first is they have their own respective call, which is for started service, the start service method, and the bounded service to the bind service method. Next is the onCreate method after their respective methods have been called. This onCreate method is only called once during the life cycle of a service, like the life cycle of an activity. It is only called once. Next is we start with onStart command of the started service. The system calls this method whenever a component, say an activity, requests to start a service using start service method. But so as you can see, the service is then running, but to stop this, we call the method stop service or stop self. After stop service or stop self, it will then call the on destroy method, which is like on create, but on create because they are only called once, and on destroy will is like the cleanup call for the system, like it shuts down the entire service. So next is the we proceed to the bounded service, which is the onBind method. This method is invoked when a component wants to bind with the service by calling bind service. So after the bind service, onBind is then called. Um, it is a must to implement this method. If in case the binding is not required, we should return null as an implementation is mandatory, since bounded service is must always return a value if there is no binding, so we should return a null value. The unbind method is where the clients disconnect from the service or the component disconnects from the service made. And after that, it will proceed then to onDestroy method, as it will clean up, call for the system, and destroy the service or shut down the service. Next is the tutorial. So first thing we do is open Android Studio and start a new project. We are going for the empty activity. So select that. Then next, I'm gonna name this service app. Then same as usual, Kotlin, and the minimum SDK is API 19. So click finish. Gonna wait. This generating. We then create a service by right clicking this folder under Java, right clicking, new, go to new, and select service. There, we're going to name the service, then click finish, as it will generate the files needed for a service. So yeah, we're going to create a starter service. So the class onBind is we're gonna return null. I will create a value to store my tag name, which is my service. So then creating a function to print log lines. So my bad. Alt enter. Just press Alt enter when that message comes out. I will then create the lifecycle methods. So override fun on create. So put on create. Next is override fun on start command. Next is override fun on destroy. So next is creating messages so that it will be printed in the log So on destroy, then on start is a show log on start command, and on create show log on create. What this does, the syntax, it will show in the logs what method has been run. So we can do just that. So what we'll do is that we will make a for loop inside the on start commands so that it will print the logs on for this command. So show log service is starting. Service is started, I mean. So close that, then I to string creating a thread leaping for every iteration, which is 1 to 10. That's we will then create an intent in the main activity, see here, and under that set content value we're gonna create intent equals intent this, and the name of the service class, which is my service class Java. So, and we're going to call the start service method that is already built in and call the intent. So we then start our app to check if it runs. So building service. See it as we can see, on create has been started first and on start. So there, as you can see, it first counts down to 10 until it shows here. To avoid that, we can, so that it will start directly, we can do that by going back to my service and changing this to adding that so there will be space, and changing this into a runnable object. So val runnable equals runnable, and inside that we're gonna copy paste our for loop, so there, and we're gonna start the runnable on a thread. So val thread equals thread, and call the object runnable, and we start the thread by calling the start method, which is already built in within the Android Studio. We then launch again the app to check if this is working. So that, click start again, installing. As you can see, it is starting while this pops up. So yeah, it works till 10 because we set this to 10 only, 1 to 10 the iteration. Way back. So to check running services, we need to go to the settings. So we can do that by settings, looking for the settings there, and going to the system, about emulated device, and click on build number multiple times to enable developer options. So as you can see, this message pops up. Then you can go back to system. As you can see, there is a developer options, and we can check the services by clicking this running services at the top. Our app is running, service app. It's been running for a minute now after starting the app. And we can stop that by typing stop self. Stop self. And again, it finished building. See, it will then stop. See, after 11 seconds, it's gone. And that is all for this tutorial. The summary for the tutorial was I explained the meaning of services and the type of services and its life cycles, and a tutorial on a started service. Thank you for watching. This is Vladimir Fabe.